afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Propagandacast from your host, Imperial Dane, Master Propaganda Hero, like Defender of the Fatherland. We're off here to a 1 vs 1 on Holot Defender. Between these, we got Ben is happy. Yeah, Ben for the Soviet Union, for socialism, Stalin, and the 213th Rifle Division versus in the West, we got Jove fighting here for the Upper Communist Germany, Deutschland. And for the 7th Panzer Division here with Scavenge, Spare Cops, and Breakthrough, dealing here with Ben. With his partisans, we got double infantry and academy bulletin versus double infantry, and a single penal tour bulletin there for Ben, who also goes straight for them right off the bat. The Strafniki, the Strafbat. Point next called Sturmpioniere with their assault rifles. We got double Volkskrieger here for Jove. No sign of the Kubelwagen. Jove is not a Kubelman. So first Volkskrieger squad here arriving for Jove in their great big coats. Helmets fastened tight. Except for Ludwig, who never quite got the hang of that. Storm Pioneers bring up a bit about where they're being practically laid down, and hopefully no one being why it's stuck to it. Alright, you know the drill. We don't want to get stuck like we did at Stalingrad. We barely got out of that one alive. Yeah. Well, except Otto. Yeah, but you know, he was the one who was stuck in the first place. Again, here's finding out the Storm Pioneers. We've got another penal super squad there for Ben. Also, kindly don't just send me invites out of nowhere. It's, you know, annoying, to be honest, and people just keep sending it. I tend to just remove because, you know, I mean, ask first at least, you know, check if I'm actually paying attention, you know, might be casting or something else. I mean, again, it's one of the ways to sort of quickly get off there because I don't want you to have that sort of constantly popping up. Anyways, part wide down then from the church here, something up. He's not going for the fuel right away. He's mentioned sort of securing a bit of area around here, but again, not directly securing the fuel. So that's a bit of an questionable opening there, I think, to Jove, but then again, it is Jove, so obviously I'm not going to say, you know, too much about that. Like, just at least for me, feels a bit weird, and again, does mean his opponent's going to get the full advantage. We've got two penal super squads out here, Scout car following up for Ben. Engineers hiding out in the church there. Sandbags happy to help defend the munitions. Good push northward. Third Volkskrieger squad out there for Jove and the Fatherland. In the south, they continue their advance, laying down sandbags around here. They're dropping them. My God, what is he putting in that sand? I don't know, but I don't like it. Grabbing Southern Point, dug in there. Scout car ready, the M3A1. Scout car, also known as, I believe, is this white scout car. Rushing southwards with that one, 50 caliber and 30 caliber mounted on it. Tag into here, the Volkskrieger won't be able to help with that too much. Might want to slightly angle a bit further better, but in case you want to minimise its usage against enemy attacks from the north. Either way, they'll quickly rush off here, the penal troop and scout car combo there. Definitely too much there for Jove's men. Following up like Kednev in response to that, very good. Up here, again, more sandbags, but also just standing about them. He could try and push further forwards here, but it looks like he's feeling a bit, you know, unsure what it is Ben's plans are, so instead he's just waiting for Ben to reveal his hand, what he's exactly going for, so he can act and then make sort of a reaction to that. And Ben so far is just going for an awful lot of penal troopers for the Stravniki. Did you hear that? Yes, it's the car. Oh. Alright, looks like they finally got a bit of movement on here. We got mines to protect the victory point there from some light harassment. Good work there. Truck out, so that'll be a battle group headquarters here for Jove in the early game. Cancel the Kednefer though. Pan the scout car isn't that much of a threat to Jove. Yeah, you know, it's only a scout car filled with angry Russians with guns. Only it has machine guns. It's nothing, you know, the infantry can't handle. As long as we remember to get some Panzerfaust. But we haven't gotten some Panzerfaust, Herr Major. Shut up. We'll get some there eventually. A bit like, you know, how we got all that winter closing. Yeah, too late, Herr Major. Shut up. More mines from Jove. He's actually been a bit further in mining up there. That's good, actually. That's good. Again, so many players tend to neglect mining at all. He goes for Mechanized Regiment, not the battle group headquarters there for Jove, but the Mechanized Regiment. Moving ahead there, nothing to defend against the penal troops as they advance on the munitions. Scout cover rolling a bit back. He's crossing a lot of fences there. Do we have to do it like this? Yes, we have to do it like this. But I have splinters in my eyes. Well, it's the only way. It's not like, you know, the infantry could pull down the fence with their own hands, or maybe use some kind of entrenching tools. More mines. He's really thoroughly mining up here. Wow. Seems like Joe might have recently read Mein Kampf. Anyways, penal troopers pulling out. They're also flying west. Jump has Max and flanking against his jump. Or the penal troopers there. House occupied by another penal trooper squad, making it harder here for Joe to move troops up through there. That's going to take him into a sort of more awkward route as well. There you go, moving up the scout car supporting. We got another flank here as well. Very good job here by Ben. Very good job. Ben is making Starling proud. There you go, taking the forces in the south, though. We got a bit of movement here. Pincenegate pushing out the penal troops there. Further south, forces going for the victory point there, but he's left his northern half here quite vulnerable. Particularly, of course, the copper on the fuel point there, so that's going to end up, I think, a bit awkward there for Jove if he's not careful. Almost got the scout car, but still, and even the mines, he's not quite been able to catch up the Russians in. It's that it's not going to have an impact. But on the other hand, if he sort of keeps fighting it too long and then decides to retreat too late, he could get wiped by the mines with a bit of luck there. So, I mean, that's a potential thing happening there for Jove. MD-34 on the way. Scavenge Chosen is going to call up some Jaegers to support here. Have some infiltrate. We got the MD-34 out there for Jove. And the 7th Panzer Division.
Level capabilities ready for deployment. Combat unit ready.
Jaegers rapidly ping right next to the penal troopers. Don't think that's going to be the best idea. And there we go. Jove realizes. Oh, it still pops it in here and there, just I think to deny them a bit their house there, frustrate and annoy them. But it's just not working out. The problem is again with the distance and the flame for it. Either way though, the Jaegers are kind of in a bit of trouble there, and they're kind of in a bit of trouble. So it's not quite working out there for Jove. And there goes Scout coming up. Now with engineers in it. Got the MD-34 moving up. And there goes basically sort of trying to bait them into remaining there so he could flank them with the MD-34. That's quite a gambit there by Jove. That could have been, you know, if he just rushed into the house there and gotten it before Jove, you know, it would have worked out. But, I mean, that was actually pretty interesting. But it's definitely not what I recommend most players to try to do. I think that gone wrong for most players except for Jove here. Moving north for their 4th penal troop squad here for Ben. He really likes those penal troopers. He's also taken up at the same time. Can soon go for the T-70, whereas Joe can roughly around the same time go for the Puma. To counter the T-70, of course, also go for the Lux if he wants to. That's going to require a Kedem of support there, otherwise it's not going to have that much luck versus the T-70 light tank. Big push here. Scout car supporting a penal trooper assault here. 2 full squads. We've got the engineers still hanging about then the scout car. Hunting down the forces, they need to retreat. And too slow there, full wipe there against Jove. Small victory there for Ben in the early game against the fascists. And there we go, we got the Lux Aufklärungspanzer on the way there for Jove, and the 7th Panzer Division almost got the fuel, and we got the T-70 reconnaissance tank for Ben as well, a light tank. It was technically sort of a conglomeration of 2 previous light tanks, the T-50 and the T-60. One was sort of an infantry support tank, the other was exclusive reconnaissance, so they basically just decided to make a sort of variant that sort of just used both parts of that and sort of was, I suppose, easy to produce, it, though was still pretty expensive. We got the Lux out here for Joe, the Panzer II Ausführung Lux, which was rather sort of overhauled Panzer II design, not really have much in common, I think, with the old design in terms of the hull. In many ways. Get Jaegers moving up here, Lux moving up to support as well with its autocannon. Another man there as well from Joe. We got into tank parties here with their Panzerschrecks, quickly taking perhaps up position in the shed, but no, just fires from the open. Forces pushed back in the south with the engineers and the scout car. Lux blasting away at the Strafniki out in the open, threatening to crumble their cover. And there we go, T-70 rolling out as well for Ben. Jaegers, we've got 2 squads from now engaging Josman inside the church. They're slowly dropping dead there. From marksman fire, there you go. T-70 the Lancer, good hit there, slaughtering Fritz. Ah, Helmut, Dieter, they're all dead. So dead. There we go, we're heading there for Jove. For Germany. We could consider laying down some money. I mean, he's got a lot of munitions. I mean, a few mines in there could, I think, pay off greatly there for Ben. Or he could just go for a demo charge. I mean, there's a lot of options there for him to consider. Plus, the penal troops can also lay down, or the, not penal troops, partisans. Bloody partisans can lay down mines, but most people tend to neglect that. Now the takeover there for Jove. Likely going to be the battle group headquarters, considering the timing hits it for healing and other bits.
Standing by for setting of command post.
Had he had more fuel, I would have assumed a Schwer panzered quarters, but with only 40 fuel. Plus, I mean, he's shortly after getting the looks, so he's likely going to go for the battle group headquarters, support his infantry with that instead. For Ben, he could soon go for another T-70, he could push version 6s to support, or half-track as well. We could, for example, go for the AA half-track, which I think would be quite punishing versus Jove. Got the T-70 moving northwards, but waiting for the infantry before making the assault. Good work there by Ben. Some infantry splitting off. They're going to move towards the centre. There's going to be an MD-34 plus the... Oh, actually, MD-34 is not there. It's up north. Just figured he'd keep it there. Most players tend to keep the machine gun there. Of course, some keep it up here. But there you go. Pinch off the we got the T-70 moving in though. Looks hitting the troops in the centre. Kedner moving into the scene. MD-34 is going to need some serious support there. Otherwise, the T-70 is going to knock it up. We got the Scar coming up. It's all of the Penal Squad with flamethrower. He's going to need the looks up there. He's going to need it. Kedner being pushed up. We got the Panzers. Parts moving up there. Going straight for the machine gun there with the flamethrower inside the scout car. Pushing it out there. The assault in the centre though is losing on momentum. We got the T-70 about there. A bit close. MD-34 setting up again. Kedner setting up there, but not quite within range. We've got the looks moving up there. MD-34 firing a bit as well. Going for the northern victory point there. South Barway is really open there. And we can see that Jove perhaps realises that Ben is actually focusing a lot of attention in the centre and the north, meaning he actually go for the south there. He might want to consider laying up some mines at least to cover up the retreat in case Ben, tries to sort of cut off his retreat point with a T-70 or something else. Retreat point, but retreat path. But T-70 they're finding way, blasting with his 45mm gun, full of socialism and spite. Mostly spite. Really? How do you know? Well, your Russians. Jaeger's heading northwards there, back here. Fox need to reinforce. He could go for the Puma soon to sort of help us with that, but again, he might be planning longer term, something a bit more impressive. Back group headquarters are on the way there for Jove. For some medical support, possibly also some light infantry guns there versus Ben, who is moving straight on in terms of tech for the mechanized armor company. Ben cannot be suppressed, Ben cannot be held back. Full of spirit and socialism, he checks ahead. Using the initial advantage gained, except of course he's not mining again. In that regard, I think that's one of his bigger mistakes. Again, he's been able to gain so much territory, but he just failed to secure it with mines, at least that way. Minimizing Jove's chances of easily getting back and counter-harassing. So that's really something that I think Ben should consider more of, some mines. Fighting in the centre, taking up the looks with supporting the Volker squad. That church is definitely proving to be quite a thorn there in Jove's side though. Ben most level troops, then we got another anti-tank part squad here. Infiltrating from behind, engaging the looks, pushing it further back, leaving more room for the T-70 and its vehicles at the front line. Hits a mine though, and the scout car goes down. One of Jove's many mines there paying off in the end there versus Ben. Strange thing, we've got the T-70 support, needs anti-tank support here from the north. We've got Kedmer from the move, looks hanging back. Anti-tank parts are pulling back, and over here nothing further going on. Troop ceiling reinforcing. They're shooting, there we go. Looks engaging, tank through the penal troopers. It's auto cannon, mercilessly sawing them to bits. Fritz, I almost feel sorry for them when I open up with this auto cannon on them. Almost. Then I remember, the Russians. Oh, Jorgen, you're so funny at times. Jaeger's creeping in on the partisans, catching them off guard, denying the church there to the Russians. Also, a good chance, I think, getting some wipes on the partisans there, low in health. Exposed to negative cover. Settle charging on the battle group headquarters, trying to knock it out there that way. Bold, but with not enough penal troops, I don't think it's going to happen there. I don't think it's going to happen reliably enough. He's going to need more troops on the spot. Otherwise, though, I do like the idea. It's just he needs more penal troops to pull it off. Got the Strafniki sitting out. Another satchel charge though. If he just had another Pilgrim squad there again, he probably could knock it out, but instead he's just going to leave it at low health. He might lose at least one Pilgrim squad here to Jove, who is hot in the pursuit here of Benis' men. 10 kills there, Veterans he won, Strafniki nearby, we got more moving up here. T7 pulling back for repairs, he can actually go for T-34-6 in a matter of moments, beginning to hit Jove there with the tanks, whereas Jove's only got really a single Academy after then deal with both the T7 and the T-34-6, meaning things can very quickly get out of hand here for Jove if just Ben, you know, A, gets out of tank as fast as possible, and then uses it sort of intelligently enough versus Jove. Another big push though for the centre, no harassment assault north there from Ben. Satchel charge goes off, knocks out the house. And there we go, Ben is going for the T-34-76. Looks they're hammering away. Church slowly splintering. And repeated cannon fire, there we go, T7 rolling ahead, waiting for that T-34-76 to arrive, which is still some time away there for Ben. And we got another Kedmev here for Jove, perhaps sensing that he's going to get hit by the armoured fist of Stalin. He brings up another Kedmev once again to take up and bring out some counter armour of his own. Which, you know, makes a lot of sense. So we got another big push here, though again, Ben needs to spread out more if he insists on keeping on making these counter attacks, though he's going to have to tech for support him company, bring out a mortar and lay down smoke screens, because this is really just favouring Jove, these counter assaults there. So again, if you're going to insist on attacking through the centre by now, get smoke. Otherwise, hit the rest of the map there, Ben. Hit the rest of the map. Time here, though, for the mid-game analysis. In terms of damage, they're pretty close to each other. Kills-wise, small lead there for Joe, but nothing too heavy either. In terms of army value, pretty close. Resource float-wise, small lead there. Joe needs to be careful about that. Though both players are floating a lot of munitions, that's definitely something that they should consider looking into. In terms of points held, it's been pretty equal between the two, actually. Neither player sort of really been heavily dominating the other one, so that's kind of interesting in that department. I mean, overall, though, for Ben, you know, more harassment in the north, more attacks in the north, and use some of those munitions on mines. Demo charge, you know, make it harder for Joe to about on the battlefield freely to harass and sort of take points. If he can do that, he can do a lot there to slow Joe and also, you know, sap his attacks for strength, making them easy to deal with and push back. So that's really something there, I think Ben needs to consider very strongly versus Jove. Otherwise, long time he could run into some problems because, I mean, really just not using munitions is generally not good. And of course, more tanks, though I think should go for the T-3045 and next after the T-34-76. As for Jove, more harassment to the south there, more attacks there. He needs to take up soon. They'll bring out some armor of his own, and I would definitely also suggest more mines. But also, he's got a lot of munitions. He's got Jaegers. They can put down booby traps. A few booby traps here and there could, I think, do a lot there, and making it, of course, harder for Ben to take points. So that's definitely some work there as well for Jove to consider. But otherwise, not so much else. So let's return to the fighting and see what happens next. Achtung, Panzer. We're fighting over the centre. Grenade assault. Pilgrim ring head. There's the church is pelted. Follow up with an incendiary grenade there on the Strafniki. T-7 rolling back. Those continue to blast away like Kedva finding out. T-34 setting up here in the north, the 1942 model, which was also the last model sort of designed before they basically began setting over for the T-3045. Though, of course, the T-35-85 was sort of really into serious numbers about late 1944 to 45. Little fun detail there. And overall, the T-34-6 served from the start of the war to the end of the war. Well, of course, as the war progressed, I mean, it saw more usage as a reconnaissance tank taking over the role of the T-70 actually, because they still had a lot of them. They were still, you know, pretty fast.
We are losing territory.
Almost got the looks there, though, almost got it. McKenna with the covers here. He's almost got it one more hit. No, he pulls back, he disengages, and we can see that Jove is actually quick to pop, cautious movement just in case. Wait, where did the fascists go? It's like they vanished into thin air, or somehow just moved slow enough not for us to see them. They must have realized we cannot perceive things that do not move fast. My God. Anyways, grenade assault against the advancing penal troops. That pretty much whips there for Jove, and he's forced to retreat here in the face of Ben's southern assault here to regain the southern half. There's being rapidly gained here. But Jove, there you go. We got a mine down actually to cover it up. Here's one. There we go. T70 hits it. Setting up there for a nice retreat here by Jove. So again, mines in that way can also help, cover your retreats in case things go a bit awkward. So good work there by Jove. Good work. Another T-34-76 on the way. I do think we should wait for the T-35. Again, has more impact, more durability. And meanwhile, Jove is setting up the spare plant headquarters here. Looks pulling back for some repairs. No repair pioneers here. Of course, we've got some regular pioneers standing about, ready to do hard work for the fatherland. Push into the centre, MD-34 opening up, gaining veterans 1. We got more penal troops coming in here. Of course, they're firing in.
Yes, comrade. T-34 ready for combat.
Partisans being pushed back here. Guard looks firing away. 14 kills. Veterancy 2. T-70 not being repaired. And yeah, he actually went for the 2 T-34-76s. I do think Ben could have waited for the T-35-85 here. I mean, he was reasonably well ahead there of Jove. And I think, I mean, again, it does give him more tempo momentum now. So, of course, he can use it. But part of me does think he could just easily wait for the T-35. Details. I mean, ultimately, of course, there's still some time between there. There's basically about 50 fuel difference there, which is still about 2 minutes of a difference. Our way, though, he's got 2 tanks now. Now we'll have to see if we can actually make good use of them, though, versus Jove. Now he's going to tag up here. We already attack with them, which means in this case, Jove's going to be more prepared. And he's not actually moving in a lot of infantry support for it, so this could actually end up as a poor idea there for Ben. I mean, attacking a spot where you attack with your tanks, meaning your opponent will actually expect an armoured assault there. And then with limited infantry support is generally not what's going to work out too amazingly for him. There you go. Strength to the Kenmef. I mean, he can go straight forward, try and clear it out. Instead, he's going to focus on the machine gun in the house first. Half health, though, rain 1 T-34 machine gun. Oh, gets out of there in time. T-34 lost its main gun. Share punch goes open there. Need to retreat the T-34-76. He could also wreck like Kenmef. I'd probably do that just to make sure Jove does not get it back. In the south here, partisans and penal troopers pushing for the southern victory point again. He's almost got it. Almost. Joe probably could go for a Panther 4 now. Of course, he might just end up going for a Panther instead. No, he doesn't wreck like Kenmef. He does not wreck it. Small mistake though by Ben. Small mistake. Could prove catastrophic if it ends up doing a lot there for Jove.
Supply sector under attack.
But definitely not a fan of that one there. Definitely not a fan of that one. I guess he might have thought it was destroying. He just sort of didn't quite check further on. I mean, sometimes you can just sort of make an error of judgment like that. And there you go, repairing on it. Good work there by Joe. Most players were neglected repairing it. Perhaps it was just what Ben was banking on there. But in this case, though, Joe is quick to repair. The south end T7 and T-34 support pushing back the forces there as Joe made a push there for the cut-off. Sharp there. Strange to the looks, 15 kills. I almost thought he, lost it because he hasn't used it a bit there against Ben. But then again, with all these T-34s out in the field, the looks isn't quite as valuable as it could be. Isn't quite as valuable as it could be. Now it's the MD-34 which has been dropped here. Not really having much luck with Joe and his support weapons around this area. But it definitely looks like he's aiming for the Panther here. I mean, again, with all the tanks out in the field, oh yeah, he's not gone for guard mode. I'm just so used to getting to them going guard motors, so I'm just assuming, alright, they'll go for the T-3035. Of course, he can't go for the T-3035. Stupid Dane. But again, it's just, I'm so used to it. It's just like most players will in most cases go for, guards mode and go for T-35s. It's just, again, I just assumed. Oh, I feel ashamed of himself. That was bad. But yeah, he's just bringing up T-34-76, in which case, of course, it makes sense to just get as many as possible, obviously. He can't wait for the T-35s. He can't get out. This is so embarrassing. Oh well. I'm sure my viewers will enjoy themselves quite a bit on that one. Anyways, Joe bring up the Panther here. Again, versus opponent with a lot of T-34s and 6s. The Panther will probably be the better investment here. Of course, then Ben could just support it with the Nation 5, which will certainly help versus the Panther. Or we could, of course, try and swarm it with T-34s and 6s. All the Kenref's sitting about there. I mean, Nation 5 might be helpful. There we go, strange like Kenref again. He might try and wipe it out. There he goes, going in for it. He's going in for it. Shots fired. And there you go, wiped it. Machine gun then, a lot of trouble being pushed away. Panther almost done there for Jove and the 7th Panther. He shouldn't have got the Kenref being willfully moved up. They almost got the MG-34 again as well and wipes it, but needs to pull back in before the second Kenref knocks it out. Specifically the T-34, which is actually gained some veteran to one. And oh, mine hit there. Again, good mining by Jove. He actually got a demo charge down fine here for Ben, who's also putting a lot of manpower. Panther out, they should have heard it, so in this regard, I would imagine Ben's response here should be the S-35 tank destroyer. It is the S-35 tank destroyer in response to the arrival of a Panther for the German army, which of course can always throw quite a wrench into the plans of the Soviets if well handled. And he's actually going for the infrared half-tech as well. Ooh la la. You don't see infrared half-techs very often, but they seem to have slightly caught on with some players. In particular, I think Joe's actually using them, so, I mean, that's quite interesting there. I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad choice, it's just most players have never sort of really bothered with it, but I think Joe is just really liking the intelligent advantage he gives, and certainly there's an advantage which some players tend to sort of overlook quite a bit there. So, I mean, it's pretty interesting to see it sort of being consistently utilised by Jove. Certainly in the mark they have a player who I think is a notch above most of us. Being in the south versus the Lux and the Jaegers, running into a lot of heavy fire there. Don't worry, Petrov. Ah, shit, you're dead. Well, don't worry, Sergei. I'll save you. Oh, wait, Sergei's also dead. Dimitri, no, don't. I don't want to die either. Going for Obersalon as well. That good choice by Jove. They should fire there. I think popping the focus shot a bit too soon. But there you go. Infrared half track out. The Uhu or Owl. Push for the centre there against Joe. Straight into the MG. Oh, it looks actually. MG-34 is actually up north though, so it's still also an MG-34. H-5 very cautiously advancing here with this 85mm gun. Good hit there on the Lux. There you go, big assault from the north hit. T-54's going in, hits. Oh! He set off his own demo charge. At least he got set off against him by accident. T-54 taking him down. To pull the boat back. No, he's going to try and ram it. He's going to. Oh, he crashes two machine gun members as he rams him. The Panther's too fast. The H-5 can't keep pace because he's still focused sighting it. Why would you need that when you got units moving ahead here? Oh dear, it's a massacre here for Ben. T-34 down. Other one stuck. And now his H-5's running into a lot of trouble here as well. Oh dear, it's a complete disaster here for Ben. Complete disaster. Like, if the H-5 had not been set to focus out, I don't know why he did. I guess it was a kind of mistake there. Panther, though, makes it. They did suffer some damage, but he got two T-34s there. Quite a loss for Ben. I mean, they are eastward placed, but, you know, his H-5 now is pretty exposed then. Again, no line of sight because he finally disables it, but even then now it's going to be tricky because he pops it again, and he's an easy target there. Knocked out there by the Panther and his high-velocity gun. We got damage engine on it. Got the parts moving in. That promises Jaeger's coming against him. Got a two strike going down there as well. Covering up the retreat path. I mean, infantry troops being especially by the MD-34 pinned down to the ground, point blank. Panzer bombs going there, go retreating. Straight for the barrage. Just as it ends. Troops reinforcing, healing. Almost 15 on that. Looks that Panther's going to need some repairs. Might be an idea to just get the repair pioneers up, sort of just move the Panther sufficiently close. So apparently like one of the road wheels there bagged. Or maybe it's the road wheel of the T-34 basically sticking out where it's not supposed to. Just looks like a bit weird there. Jaegers versus the T-70 light tank. Looks like a man went off there. So Jove is certainly looking more in control now versus Ben than he did earlier. Orbs on there versus the T-70 light tank, but without anti-tank support they're not going to last long. There we go, cover destroyed, need to retreat in the negative cover now. Versus the T-70 light tank, and the retreat is fast, but the losses are heavy. Lakednev setting up, he's perhaps trying to buy time for Lakednev. Bit of risk of injury there by Jove. Up here, ND-34 dealing with the advancing penal troopers again, might want to flank a bit further, but of course the spare panzer corps makes it hard to flank the ND-34 there. Nice to set up there by Jove then. Penal troopers being gunned down here by both now heavy flak fight and the MD-34. We've got parts trying to help. But with that, regular parts can't deal with it. The anti-tank parts are exactly known for their anti-infantry capabilities. And the infantry half just spotting out all the targets. Fun fact, the Panther was the only tank that actually got any sort of infrared sightings on it, but they actually had them so they can continue a fight by night. Not a lot of tanks that got it, some did though, and I think they primarily fought on the western front. There probably was some used a bit on the eastern front as well. So press in the south, looks moving in. I believe also the infantry side can also be set up on the MD-34 and the 42, by the way, I think. Those versus penal troopers using the heavily cover that previously laid down by Jove. Good work there by Ben. 85 number 2, they're done for Ben. And there you go, Panther flanks here. The looks goes for the kill. Gonna get it. Gonna knock it out. There we go, we got self-repair up on the looks. Allowing it to survive, oh not looks, but the T-10 allowing it to survive at least one more hit. But it's not going to survive a third hit from the Panther though, and of course the Panther can easily keep pace here, so there we go. T-70 kaput. Veterans 1 there for the Oberkommando West Panther, which quickly pulls back here, disengaging from the fight. Mr. Wilson. Up north there, Penal is being pushed back here by Oberstad and MD-34 and Jaeger fire. Big infantry push here, catching Joe's forces off guard. Quick satchel charge there against MD-34 position. Mr. setting out, and he also pops focus out on that one right away. I think he might want to pay attention to what he's doing with them, because again, it really limits the mobility of the H-35. It's not something you're going to just pop right away, because it really makes it slow and unwieldy. I mean, sure, if you know where it is, you just need to shoot and kill it, great, but if you're sort of trying to hunt anything down, it's going to be less than effective, and certainly if you need to get to the front line, it's also going to be less than effective, and for that matter, it's going to be less effective in keeping pace with the rest of your forces. So, right now, I mean, it's not exactly getting the most, I think, out of the H-5 tanks or there. And go, Ben surrenders, realizing the fight is lost against Germany. Forced to retreat here. Ultimately, though, while Ben, I think, in some ways did his best, he rather, I think, makes mistakes. Again, he failed to utilize munitions, I think, efficiently when he actually had the advantage. Again, he could have laid down a lot of mines, like Jove did, when he even had a slight, bit of map control. Jove was actually very quick to mine up a lot there. That was good by Jove, by the way. That certainly helped slow down Ben at several vital junctures. Again, Ben never really did, on the other hand. He didn't have a lot of parties, but he never mined with them. So that was a mistake there by Ben. Also, the way he pushed the T-34 over the H-85 there, not really able to support, I think, was also a mistake. I think you're just trying to sort of slowly whittle down Joe's forces and then sort of try and go for more decisive engagement once he's baited the Panther into a situation, like, say, with a mine, and then knocked it out rather than just trying to sort of go all in there, deep into enemy territory. I think we'd actually been trying to knock out the Schwerpanzer quarters pretty fast, but apparently never sort of really went for it, and we had, had those two tanks, and his opponent had nothing. So, in that regard, Ben, I think, could have done some better moves there. But Joe, I think, played well. A bit rough start, but he managed to turn around there, make good use of his doctrine, abilities, and units. And, of course, nice to see the infantry after they're actually being utilized. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this match. Hope you learned something from it. If you did, run, subscribe, tell your friends, share it with everyone. If not, send in a replay and provide some feedback in the comment section. This is Imperial Linking. Cheers. Thank you all for watching. Hope to see you all tomorrow for another exciting episode. Bye.